So our third speaker this evening is Greg Edmonds, and his speech title is Populate or What? With Populate or What? Greg Edmonds.
Populate or what? So what's that all about? It's a topic that's been in the news over the last 2 years perhaps, but in particular through the last election, when our population growth was a political football to be played with by Tony and Julia. But what brought me to this topic? It was another great Australian, Dick Smith. He's had an epiphany. What his new latest hobby is population, and helping us to understand that we shouldn't be growing at the pace that we're growing at the moment. He recently delivered a speech called Population, Prosper or Perish. And in it, he made the case that population growth at the rate that the world and the rate that Australia was currently growing was unsustainable and would lead to a disastrous downfall for both the first world as well as the third world. Is he right? He blames, in his speech, many of the major overwhelming issues that we have, whether it be climate change or environmental degradation, poor teeth health. Just joking. He claims that these overwhelming problems that we struggle to solve are the basis of one thing: too many people. Is he right? I don't know. Truly, I don't. This is a new topic for me. My purpose tonight is not to convince you one way or the other, but to have you walking out of here tonight thinking, what do I believe? What choice should I make in terms of the political issue, the environmental issue, the human issue around population growth? So growth is king. We all know that. My dad used to tell me, you're either growing, Greg, or you're rotting. Now, I'm not sure that he was talking about my ability to populate the earth. I think it was more about are you growing as a person? Are you learning? Are you growing? Are you increasing your capacity? Because if you're not growing as a person, then you're rotting as a person. But grow or rot is a very, very common perception within the business community. Because in business, growth is king. Stagnation is death. And business thrives on growth. But is it sustainable? Can we keep growing forever? You look into the newspapers, what's it all about? Did the share market grow? Did the share market go down? No. Have they discovered new minerals in the ground? Are we going to grow our exports? No. The impact on us of growth in business, it's all about, is the business growing? Is it increasing its profit? So, what happens to you if business doesn't grow? If suddenly we turn around and we find not only has business stopped growing in this country, but the population has stagnated. I've got a few facts for you just here at this point. Does anybody know what the population is in Australia at the moment?
20 million? 21 million? And
22, 24, 21, 20. At 6:15 p.m. tonight, the population was 22,488,048. I caught the latest baby at 6:15. I couldn't doesn't wait around till 7. At 6:15 or 6:14 actually, the website said, the world population was 6,874,759. Sorry, 6 trillion.
No. 6 billion.
I've got too many crosses in there. It was 6,874,759,508.
And a half.
So we don't know what that is. But what does it... They are such big numbers. It's almost impossible to come to grips with that. 22 million people in Australia, or 22 and a half nearly. Did you know that in 1851, Victoria had a population of 0 officially? Within 3 years, that population had grown to 300,000. Guess what happened? They discovered gold. That's what happened. But in the latter part of the 1850s, the Victorian population exploded. It was the highest population growth anywhere in the world. Australia is still a very high growth country in terms of our population. As a matter of fact, we grow at 1.07% per year. Doesn't sound much. Well, the world grows at 1.18%. So we're not quite up with that standard, but we're not far off it. We certainly have a very strong population growth. So what happens if it stagnates? Well, property prices are going to fall through the floor because we've got no baby boomers, no new people coming along with families to buy the property. We're going to have problems because businesses are going to go out of business. Employment will drop. All of those nasty things are going to happen if the population stagnates. And remember, our economy is based on growth. So capitalism is all about growing and consumption. So if the population stagnates or it decreases, then the economy is going to be shot, because that's what the people think. That if we're not consuming more and more and more and more, then the economy will implode. And you get the global financial crisis on a local basis. The problem with that is it creates such conflicting demands. I'm going to introduce a new concept for you tonight. Has anybody heard of GHA? Tough one. Global hectare. It's a measure of how much land mass you need to support a single person in your country. In Australia, it's 7.8. In the world, it's 2.7. In the United States, it's 9.4. Very high. So, what does that mean? You take this room. That's the productive capacity of Australia, 15.8 global hectares. Then currently we're consuming this space. So hey, what's the problem? What's our capacity to grow? 36 million, they say, by 2050. But what's going to be the issue there? We've already got a Murray-Darling system that's collapsing. The Darling hasn't run for nearly 5 years. It's only the latest rains that have given us some water. We've got a basin plan that's got the population scared to death because they think they might have to reduce their water usage by 20%. So what's the right size? As I said right at the beginning of my speech, I don't know. But I want you to think about it. Julia Gillard said recently, she said, population, there is no optimal population. It depends on our values and on our choices. I think she's onto something here. It's about our choices as to what happens into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, when you walk out of here tonight, what choices are you going to make?